Hi there, I'm Brian Tracy. What do you think is the most prevalent and biggest single problem facing people in America today? Well, you've heard it said that there are two things that are inevitable in life, death and taxes, but today we know there's one more, and it's change. As a professional speaker, as a seminar leader, as a consultant to small and large corporations, the one request I get over and over again is, can you help our people cope with change? Change is the greatest single issue affecting yours and my life, and will be for the rest of our time on this earth. Let me give you three predictions that come out of Harvard University with regard to change. Prediction number one, in your field, whatever your field is, there will be more change in the coming year than ever before. Number two, there will be more competition in your field than ever before, and the competition will become more and more determined. And number three, there will be more opportunities in your field than ever before, but the opportunities will be different from the past. You know, the most important single thing that happens in life is the ability to spot trends and to be aware of changes and where the changes are going. In a recent Fortune magazine article on why companies fail, they said one of the major reasons for failure is the failure to anticipate how changes are going to affect their business and to go on doing things the same way. Now here's one extra prediction, and that is this: 72% of people working today will be out of their current jobs 1 year from now if they don't adapt to the rapid pace of change, competition, and opportunity. They'll be doing something else. Let me show you a little graph. Imagine that we have a pool of water. And here's the pool of water, and it's filled with fish. And these fish swim around, and they live off the sustenance that's in the water today. All right? But then we have a drought. And the drought comes along, and what happens with the drought was the water level is reduced. Let me use a different colored pen here. We have a smaller water level, so we have less water in the lake than we had before. Now notice what has happened here is we have the same number of fish, and they're just as hungry as they always were, and they now have to swim in a smaller body of water and get the same amount of sustenance as before. This is very much a picture of our national, regional, international, global economy, is that we have more and more competition because we have more and more fish in a smaller body of water competing for the same level of sustenance. Your job is to become more and more effective competing in a far more competitive environment than has ever existed before. The average person today, because of the speed of change, believe it or not, is making more decisions in a month than their grandparents made in a lifetime. More major life-forming decisions are made in a month, in many cases, than your grandparents made in a lifetime. When your grandparents came out of school, it was just understood. You got some basic training, either college or apprenticeship. You went to work for a large company. You worked for that company for the rest of your life. Today, those days are gone forever. Today, the rate of change is the most powerful single circumstance in our life. And I say that basically the race is on. It's not a matter of whether or not you like the race. It's sort of like a law of gravity. It doesn't matter what you think about it. If you step off a 10-story building, you're going to go splat on the sidewalk, whether you believe in gravity or know about gravity, or whether gravity is particularly convenient for you. Today, the rate of change is not only accelerating, it's getting faster and faster, but it is also discontinuous in that it is breaking up and it's coming from different directions. And people can be going along doing what they're doing for a long period of time, and something will come out of left field and just knock us off the map. Well, why has this happened? Well, let me explain to you why it's happened. What happened over the course of human history is that it took us several thousand years of evolution, going back thousands and thousands of years, where we went through the nomadic age into the agricultural age. For several thousand years, what we did is we basically farmed. Now, in about 1776, with the development of the steam engine, we moved into the industrial age. Now, the industrial age was considered to be the most remarkable age in the history of man. It led to incredible urbanization, incredible, eventually unionization. It led to the development of modern countries and modern societies, the development of modern cities. But in less than 200 years, we moved out of the industrial age into the service age after World War II. And this is, by the way, determined by the number of people who are working in this area. We went from having a majority of industrial workers, 33% of the population, to a majority of service workers. Now, in the 70s, we passed into the information age. Now, the information age, we suddenly had more people working, processing information than we had had in actual industrial or service. And now we have moved into the communications age. The communications age is we now have more people who are involved in communicating ideas and information in some way than we have doing anything else. The amount of industrial workers is down to about 18.1 million workers, but the industrial production of America is greater than it's ever been before. Why? It's because it takes fewer people to produce even more goods than ever before. At the turn of the century, 54% of Americans lived on the farm. Today, 3% live on the farm, and of those, only a small number of them are really running large professional farms. Today, the major value in our society is time and knowledge. For all of human history, value has been contained in land, furniture, fixtures, capital, labor, raw materials, factories, plants, and so on. Today, a factory can be rendered obsolete in a year by new technology. Today, an entire area can become economically distraught by the moving out of an industry or the collapse of a basic resource. Today, value is time and money. Time and knowledge. Knowledge means the ability to know how to do things and get things done, and time means to apply that information in a timely fashion. All of your value today is between your ears. Do you know what this means? It means that your entire industry could collapse, your company could move away, your job could disappear and probably will, but it's what you have between your ears that more than anything else is going to determine what you accomplish with your life. It's been said that a man or a woman could walk up to customs at New York's Kennedy Airport with the ability to create $1 billion computer industry in their mind and go up to the customs officer with no baggage and say, "Nothing to declare. Nothing to declare." Do you know what that means? It means today all value is brain power. Do you know that by the year 2000, fully 80% of people who are working today will be knowledge workers? There will be people who work with their brains. There will be people who think and have used their ability to determine what to do and how best to do it in order to make a living. Let me give you an example. If you own a company, all the assets of your company today go home at 5 o'clock every night. They walk out. The great value of your company is the people who know how to do things. In fact, if your entire company burned to the ground, you could walk across the street and start up again as long as your people were okay. So brain power is the critical factor. There's a famous story of a farmer who was operating a tractor, and his job, basically his farm, raised corn, and the corn was then sold to granaries who then sold it to pig farmers who then sold it to slaughterhouses and then raised pig and bacon, created pigs and blankets, bacon, sausage, and so on. What happened was he had an accident, broke his neck, was paralyzed from the neck down. As a result of that, you know what he had to do? He had to figure out how he was going to make a living for himself and his family, paralyzed from the neck down. And laying there in bed with only his brain functioning, he developed an idea for a sausage industry where they would raise the corn and the pigs and have the slaughterhouse and have the packaging, have everything all in one place. And he created a $100 million sausage industry. The most respected physicist in the world today is a man named Stephen Hawking, who is so paralyzed with Lou Gehrig's disease that he can barely move. All he can use is his brain, and he's worth millions and millions of dollars. Well, as a knowledge worker, you have to understand that we were brought up in an age, and the age was where you got out of school, you got a good job. In fact, we were brought up in an age in the 50s where you could get a highly paid job being low skill and no skill. You didn't even have to have a good education. So the education system stopped teaching people because they could get good jobs. Even in the 60s, you could start work as a blue-collar worker without even a high school certificate and get a higher wage in a unionized factory than you could with a 4-year college degree. Today, however, it's gone forever. The disparity between those with high school educations and those with college is now 30 to 50%. The disparity between those with college educations and further educations is another 30 to 50%. In the next couple of years, the income level will be double, and then it will be triple. In America, we say today, what is happening is that the average wage is declining. No, that's not true. The average wage amongst those people who have no skills, low skills, and who cannot read is going down or staying fixed. But the average income amongst those people whose income is higher and who are continually developing their knowledge and skills is going up every year. The fact is that the top 20% are not making enough more faster in order to offset the declining wages of the bottom 80%. Your question is, what group do you want to be a part of? And you really have no choice. Knowledge today, according to our statistics, knowledge is doubling every 2 to 3 years. Knowledge is doubling in your field. What does that mean? It means if your knowledge isn't doubling every 2 to 3 years in your field, you're in serious trouble. Do you know what we know? That an engineer who comes out of school today, 5 years later, is becoming obsolete. 10 years later, can be totally replaced by a brand new engineer, because the brand new engineer is learning technology and skills that the engineer who graduated 10 years before simply doesn't have at all. So therefore, if a young engineer is not constantly keeping up with his skills, after 10 years of experience, he can be obsoleted out and replaced by someone with 1 year's worth of experience who's got a fresh education. In every field, we know this. We know that knowledge becomes obsolete. If you're a historian studying world history, your knowledge becomes obsolete at the rate of maybe 5% a year. If you're in the stock market selling stocks and bonds, your knowledge can become obsolete in a matter of a few days. If in many industries today, if you were to take a sabbatical and go away for a week or two, or I'm sorry, for a year or two, when you came back, you'd have to start off way, way down the ladder, because most of the knowledge you went away with would be irrelevant when you got back. What does this dictate to you and I? It means that we must be continually taking in new information. We must be continually sharpening and upgrading our skills, or what is happening is the rest of the world will pass around us. Now, we know this about products and services. And we know this is that products and services are becoming obsolete at a faster rate than ever possible. What does it mean? It means that it used to be that you came out with a new product or service that lasted 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Do you know what happens today? Is the average product that comes onto the shelves will be obsolete in 6 months. The average computer being put onto the shelves today, brand new, state-of-the-art, will be obsolete in 4 months. What does we mean by obsolete? It means it'll be replaced by something better, faster, cheaper, newer, by some other competitor. Fully 90% of all the thinkers, all the inventors, all the creators, all the scientists, all the engineers, all the marketers, all the technologists, all the people who think up new products and processes and services and so on, all of these people are working today, and because of this, they're competing more and more vigorously, and the instant they complete a product, they look for a way to obsolete their own product, and they're looking at this very moment to find a way to obsolete you and your product and your service and your business and your company and your industry, and to take it away from you. The only way that you can deal with this is not to be upset about it, but to realize you're going to have to roll with it. You're going to have to find a way to make things up faster, sharper, newer as well. Well, let's look at the results of change. The result of change today is stress. This is the major factor that you and I are experiencing today, stress and anxiety. Where do we get this stress and anxiety? Where do we see it? We see we eat too much, we drink too much, we sleep too much, we get more and more irritable faster, we get angrier, we have more psychosomatic illnesses today than ever before. We have 50 billion pounds of extra weight on the average American. We have more accidents, we have people killing each other, we have higher levels of crime. This stress and anxiety is caused because we feel like we're falling through space. The stress is such that we feel that we're losing control of our own lives. And this is the key to what we want to talk about in this fact that the race is on in change. And it is this, is that the way that we deal with the stress and anxiety that is involved with change is through control and confidence. Now, control and confidence are almost like the flip sides of the same coin. If you have one, you have the other. If you have the other, you have the one. Psychologists will tell you today that there is such an animal as a sense of control. A sense of control simply means this. It means that you feel good about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are in control of your own life. You feel bad about yourself or negative to the degree to which you feel you are not in control. What does it mean? It means if you look at your life, if you look around your life, you'll find that the parts of your life that cause you the greatest amount of anxiety, that cause you to be preoccupied, that make you angry, that cause you to think about them and talk about them, are the areas where you feel you are controlled by something that someone else is doing or not doing to or for you. In fact, one of the great responsibilities of adult life is to look for ways that you can get more control over the key parts of your life. What are some of the things that you can do? We know, by the way, philosophically with regard to control, that one of the ways that we get more control is we put hands on. The other way that we get control is that we take hands off. and walk away. Sometimes walking away from a bad situation is the very best way to get control. But a sense of control is the absolute prerequisite for you to be successful and happy. You have to feel you're in control of your own life. You're the master of your own destiny. You're in charge of what happens to you. You make your own decisions. You have to feel in control. And this rapid rate of change, which seems to be going faster and faster, is causing us to feel out of control, and we've got to reach out and grab control. Now, here's the key to control. It's the most important thing that you will learn. It's becoming one of the most important single concepts being taught in America, and it is self-responsibility. You see, there is a direct relationship between the amount of responsibility which you accept for your life and for everything that happens to you and the amount of control that you feel you have. And there's a direct relationship between the amount of control you feel you have and how happy you are. So if you want to be happy, if you want to have high self-esteem, if you want to be positive, you have to accept responsibility. The starting point of accepting responsibility is very simple. What you simply say is, if it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. You say these words. You say, I am responsible. Whenever you think of anything that makes you angry or upset or frustrated for any reason at all, you say, wait a minute, wait, I'm responsible. And the fact is, you are. It's absolutely amazing how much energy intelligent people spend trying to divest themselves of responsibility by making somebody else responsible. What is the key to responsibility? The key is to stop blaming other people and to stop making excuses. Is to say, look, I'm where I am and what I am because of myself. Here I am. If we're not happy with where we are and what we are, then it's up to us to change it. If it's to be, it's up to me. You know, someone once said, I'm a self-made man, but if I had it to do over, I'd call in a little outside help. Well, every one of us is self-made to the degree that we got ourselves where we are and we made ourselves what we are. And if we're not particularly happy with it, we can put our hands on the wheel of our own lives, we can take control of our lives, we can accept responsibility, and we can change direction. The key to dealing with change today is the acceptance of responsibility. The acceptance of responsibility gives you a sense of control. A sense of control gives you a feeling of confidence, and it makes you a happy person. It makes you a happy, effective, forward-oriented, achievement-oriented type of person. Whenever you look around, you find all over the world, you find the top people in every organization of value are men and women who say, I am responsible. What is it that Harry Truman was famous for, that everybody thought was a remarkable thing for a politician to say? He said, I'm the president, the buck stops here. I'm the president, the buck stops here. And the day that you start saying, I am responsible for my life, and if I'm not happy with something, it's up to me to change it, that's the day everything will change for you. Well, this brings us to what I call the basics. And you know, we cannot change the world, but we can constantly go back to our touchstones where we can hold on and grab on. And I think there are three basics. I call them the basics, and I take it from the old story about Vince Lombardi when he took over the Green Bay Packers. He was asked, are you going to change the running plays, blocking plays, you could bring in a new game book and so on? And he said, no. He said, we're not going to do anything different. We're going to become the best running, blocking, passing, kicking team in football. We're going to become brilliant on the basics. Your job is to be brilliant on the basics. Brilliant on the basics. Now, there are many basics, and we'll cover them in subsequent sessions, but I think that there's basically 3 C's that will do more to give you a sense of control, that are more involved with you accepting responsibility, that will enable you to deal more effectively with change than anything else. And here are the big 3 C's. Number 1 is clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. Clarity is my favorite word. I think 80% of all of our problems in communications, in relationships, in work, in life, come from lack of clarity. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're trying to accomplish. We're sort of like Columbus. You know, the old saying, they say that Columbus, when he left for the New World, he didn't know where he was going. And when he got there, he didn't know where he was. When he got back, he didn't know where he'd been. Well, many people go to work like that every single day. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where they are. They don't know where they've been. Clarity means clarity with regard to your values. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What will you not stand for? Do you believe in honesty? Do you believe in integrity? Do you believe in your family? Do you believe in health? Do you believe in hard work? Do you believe in truth? Do you believe in justice? Do you believe in freedom? What are your values? Second of all, what is your vision? Now, your vision is a picture of what your life would be, ideally, if you were living out your values. If you were being the very best person you could possibly be, if your life was perfect in every respect, and it was based on your fundamental values, what you personally consider to be important and worthwhile, what would your life look like? What is your vision for yourself and your future, and for your family, for your company, for your work? Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Here's an exercise for you, one of the most important exercises I've ever learned. Imagine that a dust settled over you and you went sound asleep for 5 years. And when you woke up, your life was perfect in every respect. Everything that you could ever want was perfect. Here's the question: who would be there? Where would you be? What would you be doing? What would it look like? If your life was perfect in every respect, and of course, that's what you're working toward on a day-to-day basis, but if you had achieved it all, what would it look like? You see, asking and answering that question gives you a very clear idea of what your values and your vision might be. And then that leads naturally to the next basic. And the next basic is goals. What are your goals? Someone should be able to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning out of a dead sleep and shake you awake and say, what are your major goals? And you should be able to open your eyes and tell them just like that. If you don't know what they are, it's time to start thinking about it. Because without clarity, with values, vision, and goals, you'll feel like you're falling through space in a rapidly changing world. You'll find that really exceptional men and women, happy, competent men and women, are men and women who are very clear about who they are and where they're going. In fact, I read a wonderful definition of leadership recently. It said, the most important quality of leaders is that they know who they are. The most important quality of leaders, and all men and women have the capacity to be leaders, the most important quality of leaders is that they know who they are in terms of their values, their vision, and their goals. Now, the second C is the C of competence. And competence means that you have to be very good at what you do. My rule is this, is that your goal should be to be in the top 10%. The top 10%. The top 10% of whatever field you're in. And if you don't like your work enough to want to be in the top 10%, then you should find something else to do. Because people who are successful in life have a tremendous sense of competence. And a sense of competence gives them control and confidence. They feel good about themselves because they know they're good at what they do. You know, we've passed from the age of continuous lifelong employment to lifelong employability. What does that mean? It means that you can never be guaranteed of a job at your current place, but you can be guaranteed of a job by being one of the best people in your field. The third C that gives you control and confidence is continuous learning. And this subject will come back over and over again. In fact, continuous learning may be the only real source of competitive advantage you or your organization can possibly have. What does it mean? It means that you never stop learning new, more, better things that will help you to become more competent in order to achieve the goals with which you are perfectly clear. So those are the three. The biggest single problem is change. The biggest and most negative effect of change is stress and anxiety. The way to get over stress and anxiety is to be clear with your regard to your values, your vision, and your goals. It's to commit yourself to becoming excellent at what you do, and it's to continuously learn and grow. And the final key is speed. Develop a sense of urgency. Whatever you decide to do, if it's a good idea, don't wait. Don't hesitate like the no-hopers do. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now.